right, welcome back to the 305 download. I'm Diego Wiener along with my co-host, Alfredo Rubio.
Yep.
We took a little hiatus, 4th of July. Not that we have that much of an audience, but you know, for those 3 or 4 of you that have been tuning in, we appreciate it. So I think what we're talking about is, you know, a little off camera is, you know, I'm getting married and the planning, and doing so in Miami has turned out to be such, you know, and I'm not even doing the planning. It's not even on my plate, but even getting the list, getting the save the date, getting the everything has been a quite the interesting situation.
What do you mean by the list? Like creating your whole guest list?
Yeah, because you know it's you know luckily you know my in-laws to be are really in charge of everything and frankly footing the bill for the entire wedding. And you know you want to be respected. You want to invite all your friends, but there's limited space. And I think it's probably an issue that a lot of millennials, you know, people our generation didn't really foresee as such a challenge, especially when you're doing it in Miami. You know, everyone's within 20 minutes of wherever this venue might be.
Right.
So, like for example, I had to, you know, you get your list of friends, and you got to collapse it down from like, I don't know, people you know, like the 500 people you'd love to invite. You know, your friends from high school, middle school, college, law school, professional friends, professional organizations, people that have been good to you in like in a business sense.
Right.
But you know, there's only so many people you can invite without having $1 million wedding.
Without having a whole kit and caboodle of the
going into debt over the wedding.
I mean, it's interesting, right? So I guess obviously I'm not engaged or married. So
You'll get there, player. Your girl's not gonna give you that much time.
I know, right?
So we're all on a ticking clock.
But I think the question becomes, is it more of a, like you're saying, right? It's like, so do I have to invite like which friends do it? Just from list of friends, not only friends, but also, you know, in our field, you have a lot of business connections. So bring any of those for maybe networking or for just business relationship purposes. And then you have, obviously your fiance has her own list and her own friends, but then you have, I'm sure the parents on both sides maybe need to bring their own people. And so it kind of creates this whole thing where I'm assuming it's like we have your list, she has her list, the parents have their list, and something's got to give in at some point.
And dude, I'll tell you, I don't think I ever realized how much family you have till you start making this fucking list. I mean, it's literally like something like 75 people, just family. And you know, and you gotta invite the family. And please, I can't even imagine your wedding, bro. You got like 30 uncles. They all live within like a 5-minute span of like, you know, central Miami. You're gonna be rough.
It's gonna be. I mean, I don't know, dude. I mean, I guess I think about it so differently, right? So like, I'm gonna invite. You know, when the day I get married, and I say this now because I'm not planning.
Yeah. Wait till your girl's family has any say in it. That's what I thought. I thought I was gonna have a courthouse wedding with a backyard party.
I don't think I'll have that. I don't think I'll have a courthouse wedding for that. I think I will have like a full-blown wedding and have guests and all that stuff. I just don't know if I'll have an issue creating the list because I just, you know, invite the people I think. To me, there's a difference between all the friends and acquaintances maybe you have, but then the close relationships that you want to kind of enjoy that moment with you, right? And it's about like, hey, this is a special moment. You know, I'm getting married. Obviously, it's going to be my fiance. It's a special moment for us. We want you guys to share in that moment.
Yeah.
And there are a ton of people that I've met over the years that I have great relationships with over the years who, you know, I'll grab lunch with, I'll hang out with, I'll travel with, I do business with. But there's, I don't know, maybe I just see it a little different where it's like, hey, there's certain people where I kind of want to share in this moment that, you know, I've had friends get married and I don't go to their weddings. And I have friends that do get married and I do go to their weddings. And it's just kind of fair. Over the years, we go, hey, and we're still friends. Whether I go or don't go, we're friends. But it's like an understanding of, hey, I can't invite the entire city of Miami to come to my wedding, unfortunately.
And by the way, sorry to interject, but I love, because if that was the case, bro, I remember every time I have a question, oh yeah, I got a friend that does that. Oh yeah, I got a connect that does that. Oh yeah, my uncle's doing this. Oh yeah, my aunt's doing that. So I can hear that.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like, we all know someone, especially in Miami's culture, the Hispanic culture, that you always have people that you know and people that you kind of put in your slots. I've done that over the years. I've worked in every industry known to man, I feel like, you know, and in sales and retail and non-retail. And so you've met people and met like these business connections and friends come through that. But I can't invite all of those to my wedding.
No.
You know, it's just so many. It's crazy.
And I'll tell you, I don't know if maybe it's our generation that's finally coming to terms with that. Because I remember hearing about, you know, previous, you know, let's say weddings from many years ago, and you'd see the photographs, you'd see like 1,000 people there.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because of the skyrocketing costs of weddings or maybe our generation not being willing to be like, hey, like no one wants to work themselves into debt over a wedding.
Right.
I think you're starting to see a lot more practical and pragmatic approach to that. So hopefully that's the case. Although then you hear it on the other side, like people are going into debt for
Their beasts.
yeah, including a Chipotle burrito apparently.
Oh, like what? Who's going to debt for a Chipotle burrito?
I don't know if it's still a thing, but I remember there was a whole thing about like Affirm or some of these companies like financing things like that. I don't know if it was specifically a Chipotle burrito, but it's sad. It's sad. You see the level of debt, like I follow a page that I love. It's got like the Money Guys. It's like the Money Guy podcast.
Right.
And they talk about, like where you should be depending on your age, if you want to have that ideal retirement. And they're these guys from like the South, super salt of the earth, nice guys. I love their podcast. And, they talk about Americans, especially our generation, of the level of debt.
Right.
And I assume that when you're talking about weddings, I mean, someone who's got like this picture perfect idea of a wedding. And I've been really lucky because my in-laws to be are some of the most generous human beings on the planet. But it's still, you still don't want to be in a situation where because of you, someone's having to finance more, pay more, or whatever it might be.
Right. Whatever the situation is. I agree with that. I think it kind of piggybacks into the whole Miami scene, right? I mean, I've born here, grew up here, love my city to death, but a lot of people here are, as they say, keeping up with the Joneses, right?
Yeah.
They're always trying to almost put themselves in debt to kind of make this certain image, if you will, or facade that this is the life I lead, which they don't. And I think it becomes, and it's our generation does it a lot, right? They spend this money they don't have to either do things they can't do, eat at places, buy cars or clothes that they really shouldn't have. And as you get older and more mature, some people mature and grow out of that. Some people don't. And that's what Miami, I feel, has become almost known for, right? Especially with social media, everybody's posting all these things. And I learned a long time ago, man, things I would spend money on in the past that I would have to like work so hard for, like just to get enough to save after like weeks and weeks, in college. Now I'm like, good.
Yeah.
It's just kind of living within your means. What you're saying, right? Like whatever you make, you don't want to get into debt for dumb things. You get into debt for things that, you have to, of course, but trying to limit that and just feel like Miami does a bad job of.
Not only a bad job, but like the entire infrastructure seems to be like built to encourage it, man. I remember we go to dinner at like a Prime 112 and you drop $1,200 on dinner, and it's like now, a little more mature. And I'm not saying, I mean, listen, we still have, I still can speak for myself, have extravagant taste in some things. Of course, we're much better off than the vast majority of the world. Yeah. But I guess, but you look back and you're like, man, Jesus, I was, going out like a round of drinks is like $150 and having like 5, 6, 7 rounds.
Yeah.
And not caring,
No, and then bar hopping and hitting the mall in Miami. And then it's the other thing, right? Like once you start at 11, you're like, we're going to go out for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then 12, 1, 2, 3. And there's always a place open in this city. So it's never a spot where you went, oh, it's 2 o'clock. Everything's shut down. I guess I have to go home.
Nope.
Miami doesn't live that way.
Not in our place. Not in Miami.
No, but it becomes interesting. So I can only imagine that taking that and then planning a wedding, like you saying, is insane. The cost of that must be.
I had no idea what, they, let's say like a wedding planner, flowers. And again, I'm not in the conversation as far as, what those costs are or how many moving parts they are, but it's incredible how much goes into it.
Yeah.
How much you have to plan. And again, a lot of my friends are from out of town, because I went to high school in Georgia. I went to college in Maryland, and, that's the easy part. Cause almost like you have almost you end up falling into a situation where you end up inviting like groups of friends, like let's say a group from high school, a group from college, a group from law school, and a group from life.
Yeah.
But you know what? It is what it is. And to your point, it's everyone knows, everyone who's, I guess, been through this process knows how expensive it is, what a pain it is logistically. Right. So, hopefully, which one of my friends would see this, I still love you. It's just, hey, you can't have it all. You can't have 1,000-person wedding.
And I think
nor do you maybe even want to have 1,000.
Even if you could, even if you say, hey, it's going to be free, right? Like money's not going to be an issue. It's going to be a free event. Even if that were the case, right? Invite as many people as you want. It's going to be free where, on the house, whatever reason. Would you want 1,000 people just sitting there that, some people that you do know, some people you haven't spoken to in years that don't really care, are just coming because.
And I think that's a tough part, because you have, and I don't know if this is primarily like a me kind of situation or like a guy kind of situation where like you and I could not have a conversation in a year and like you pick up right where you left off, right? So to your point, yes, there's people that maybe you don't keep in touch with, but I'll give you an example. I had let's say a beautiful reconnection with a friend of mine from kindergarten, bro. Like I've lived in Mexico. I've lived in Toluca in Mexico. I've lived all over the place between Miami and Mexico. And, you know, we kind of reconnected ahead of his wedding. You know, nothing wild, just, you know, on social media, kind of reconnected. And before you know it, you know, he and his wife-to-be were kind enough to invite me and my significant other to their wedding. We hadn't seen each other when I tell you 20 years, easily 20 years.
Yeah.
So, you know, but I guess there are some people in your life that you have that, you know, connection. And I'm inviting them to my wedding because now we've reconnected and I want them to be there. But it's pretty wild. I think maybe it's social media too, how you're able to foster those relationships even when you haven't seen them in 10, 15, 20 years.
And I think what you're saying is true, right? Like there's friends that you see all the time that, hey, maybe you don't invite because you're just kind of like acquaintances, see each other in passing in business or whatever, but there's not that connection. Someone you have known since you were 5 and just made a strong bond even early in life became like that friend that even if you don't see them for 20 years, you're like, man, that's still like a close friend till this day that I know I can call on and rely on and certain things. And I guess that's where I come from when it comes to who do I want in my future wedding, the day I get engaged and plan a wedding is I want the people who I have that relationship with, right?
Yeah.
Like you and I are boys, we hang out. You know, of course, if I ever get married, you're going to be there, no doubt about it.
Better fucking
Of course, man, absolutely no doubt about it. But there's other people that, man, I talk to, you know, often here and there, and man, they're great people. There's absolutely nothing wrong with them. I get along with them super well, but I don't know if they would, quote unquote, make the cut in a sense of like, man, maybe I just want like a smaller thing where I have a nice venue, a nice wedding, have family. I mean, to that point, you said it, my family's massive, right? Like I've got a huge family and you've got cousins that you haven't spoken to for years. Do you invite those now too? Yeah, this family? No, of course not. You know, like, yes, we're cousins. Yes, I love you, but haven't spoken to you in 30 years.
Yeah.
Sorry, close.
Sorry, man. You're not making the cut.
Yeah.
But no, and you know what? And I like your approach because, you know, I've been kind of stressing it a lot because you don't want to insult anybody. You know?
No.
Everyone, how small or how big someone's had an impact on your life, you know, it just had, you tend to think back to that moment, you know, how you felt with that person in that moment. And to me, that's been a real source of like, hey, I feel bad. But you can't make everyone happy.
No.
Someone's got to give. So
anything you do.
And again, listen, and my wedding is by no stretch a small wedding to begin with.
Right.
But, you know, when you start talking about like not just the friends you have now, but the friends you had and the friend, you know, and that shit can snowball real quick. Right. Next thing you know, you got a list of, you know, 300 people. Like I remember coming up with my initial list and it was literally like 80 to 100 people. Yeah. 80 to 100 people. Like just not including, and again, you know, this is taking into account that people that are family friends and people that are like, you know, that are already on my parents' list. So it's like a completely independent list. Yeah. But you know, it is what it is. And if they get offended, they're not real friends. So you know, what can you do?
Right. I mean, if they get offended, that's why they weren't on the list in the first place. So I don't think people get offended in that sense because they all understand, right? Because you get a marriage, not everybody's gonna be invited to it. I mean, no goods, no bad. It's just, hey, you know, I'm just getting married. These are the people that I wanted to celebrate that moment with me. And sometimes you consider too, who knows your fiance, right? Like, so I have
that's a really good point.
If they don't know her, you're like, yeah, we're boys, but how close are you if you've never even met the girl that I'm about to marry? Yeah. You know, like, I'm glad you invite me. Like, you don't even know who my fiance is. Like, you've never met her, you've never spoken to her, you don't even know her name. Yeah. That's a really good point. And I think, and maybe it's, you know, and even in a city like Miami, because you think, you know, I have friends that just like you, I'm sure, that live central Miami, let's say the Gables, South Miami, kind of the area that I tend to spend most of my time at. And then you'll have friends that like live in Aventura and you might see them once, who the hell knows when. Yeah. But I agree with you. I think it's, you know, maybe those friends that make an effort to stay connected, you know, rather than the friends that just, hey, that you've been my friend. So, hey, right. But I'm the worst of that. I want to be, absolutely clear. You know, like I'll respond, but I'm very often not the one reaching out. No, I mean, I think a lot of people, like I said, man, it's just a tough decision that you got to make and kind of figure out with anything, how does it work? How are people, you know, get to fit in? And that's with everything in our lives, dude. I mean, anything, right? Like, so who supports you in the times that you need? Who wants to be there for the party and who's there for the struggle, right? And I think that's a bit of an extreme when it comes to wedding, but it's almost like if you've got that list, And listen, if you don't have a list that big, then ignore this whole conversation because
But I don't know why you're watching.
it doesn't matter because you got your 20 people and that's good and that's fine too. Like honestly, some people are always worried like I only have 5 people. So
Bro, that'd be a great issue to have.
yeah, I know, right? Like if you're like
Just for the pure context of the wedding.
yeah, but if you're gone to the wedding, it's fantastic. Like
Yeah.
I have 5 people, I'm done. You know, it's phenomenal. I'm good. I'm in.
But it's so funny, because we're having this conversation, and in the back of it, there's the conversation about the bachelor party, and what you do for the bachelor party, et cetera. We're lucky that we live in a time city, et cetera, that, that we can travel to, all these places. And I know at this point, when we've been to a couple of friends' bachelor parties that were like in Vegas and Mexico, whatever. But in the context of trying to come up with that, the idea is, I don't drink. I went through some heavy duty health shit, so I choose not to drink anymore. And, it's like the normal occurrence that at a bachelor party would be, of like, hey, let's go have endless shots and not remember what happened that evening. It becomes a situation of, I got a lot of friends logistically that would potentially attend, also the ones that are going to the wedding or first.
That's what I was going to say too. Like for the ones who don't make it to the wedding itself, right? For whatever reason, that doesn't mean you can be like, hey guys, having a bachelor party.
Yeah.
Yo,
I think so. Here's my question. I think it's completely acceptable to be like, hey, like I know you're not really, we don't keep in touch that much, but I'm going to Vegas. I'm going to blank. You want to join?
Yeah, like listen, I'm getting married. I have a small wedding.
I'd be curious what people have to say about that because
but it's like, I mean, listen, would you be upset if someone's like, hey, listen, I'm sorry, I can't invite you to my wedding. It's a small wedding, not gonna be a big cut. However, we're gonna hit up Mexico for like a solid weekend to just have a great time being in Mexico. You want to come? And who's gonna get it?
I think most people. I try to put myself in that situation. If anything, this might be a really, really sad approach, but I'd be like, even better.
Yeah, like,
I'll go to the bachelor party. Great.
Yeah, I get to go to the bachelor party, have fun, and I'll buy you a gift. I don't have to fly and stay at a hotel for your wedding because I'm from out of town. And
it's funny though. I have a friend who's in the Marines, who's a dear friend of mine for many, many years since college, and he's going to be deployed during my wedding. So you can't come.
Right.
So it was very funny. So he sent like a semi-joking message of like, yo, let's do the bachelor party in the Philippines. I'm like, I've never been. That'd be interesting.
I don't know if that would be a great bachelor party.
I think half the people come back with half the people make it, half the people don't.
Half the people come back, half the people don't come back. I think if we're gonna go destination, we do either something in the States and go since you don't drink, like something, I don't know, that's super outdoorsy in the States, or do like Mexico and go on a pure like fishing boat, have a blast.
Yeah, I think I like that idea. I like your thoughts about that. And you know what? I always thought, I've been to a lot of Mexico, but I really enjoyed. You had that buddy's wedding in Mexico, Playa del Carmen, and I like that kind of setup because you're like a hop, skip, and a jump across from Cozumel and the ferry and whatever, where I have my dear friend that I see all the time. And then you also have the beach clubs. You have kind of like the nightlife, and whoever wants can do it. Whoever doesn't want it doesn't have to. But it'll be hilarious, dude, because I got friends from like high school, college, and it'll be. And one thing I was having a conversation with my wife to be was, it'll be hilarious to watch like those groups of friends interact all the time. Yeah. Oh my God, I'm so upset the Marine's not gonna. I hope he can be there because. That was my favorite human beings.
So super random thought here as we do this wonderful episode.
We're basically planning my bachelor party.
You guys get to hear
this podcast.
Fuck it. Costa Rica.
I like the idea. Never been.
Oh, dude, that would be. Yeah, I don't got bugs here. I think Costa Rica.
Welcome to Miami.
Yeah, bugs everywhere.
Costa Rica's cool. I've never been. I thought about Rio too. I've been to Brazil, but never been to Rio. But the problem is that it's an 8-hour flight to get to Rio.
Yeah,
it's like 3.5 hours to get to San Jose.
I think so, 3.5, 4 hours. Yeah, and it was fun, dude. I've been there. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
and that's one of those places where you can either choose to, kind of like Mexico, but maybe a little different. You can choose to say, hey, let's go to an all-inclusive resort and just kind of hang out part there. It's got beaches and pools and waters and craziness there, and then go out for tours, boat tours and stuff. Or you stay at like a big old Airbnb and then just go out, wherever you get to go out and do like the volcanoes and the hiking and the hot springs, the craziness parties, or there's just so many options there that you can do. That's all the outdoor stuff. So again, you don't really drink, so that shit doesn't matter. you look for like the outdoor stuff, but it's a different trip in the sense of like, hey, that's more like jungle funness, or Mexico fishing boat. Screw it, let's go have fun. That's the two different vibes.
I think I'd probably err on the side of Mexico. Not. I've always wanted to go to Costa Rica. I've heard it's absolutely stunning. But it's like, I don't know, like to me, like if I'm not drinking, so be it. But it's one of those things where you're having a bunch of friends from out of town. I think Cancun's probably super easy to get to from most places on the East Coast.
Yeah.
That's where most of my friends live. I'm gonna have to drag my little brother Jake from Beverly Hills from his
He'll
probably fly in on a private jet.
Yeah, but I'll meet you guys. They're like, how much you pick us up, bro? How much you pick us up?
But I agree with you. And I think, I don't know, like to me, Cancun is so internationalized at this point that maybe not Playa del Carmen, but Cancun at least, that, most people speak English. Most people, and not that most of us don't, but, I got friends from Atlanta, from Chicago, they don't speak a lick of Spanish.
Surprised in Costa Rica, though. Yeah, you'd be pretty surprised.
Yeah, I was also thinking Colombia, but Colombia, it'll be like, it's either like you go to Medellin where it's balls out nightlife, or you go to like a Cartagena, which is much more like, I think at this point, more like a family destination, not particularly like a
really.
out.
Nah, not at all.
I haven't been there forever.
Oh, dude, you can go to Cartagena, you go to the Old Town, tons of great restaurants, bars. You can rent a boat for the day. It's super cheap. Take you out to like the islands in Baru. Yeah, spend the day out in the island resorts. Or you can even, there's an island out there that I've actually been to and stayed at that has...
Is that like Santa Marta and all that?
No, it's in the Baru. It's a little tiny island. It's not like a well-known, but it's a tiny little spot. And they have these like 2 or 3 different houses on there. And it's kind of like I'm going to call it like a resort, where you can rent out each house depending on how many people you are.
Oh, cool.
And dude, it's great because you have the houses and then they share like a big pool. They're right in the water with a deck. They've got like, it's a bunch of stuff there, but there's not much to do on the island but be at the home. So that's kind of like meh.
Yeah, no.
But you can do go to Cartagena, hang out at the beaches, then grab a boat and go to the islands of Baru, where they have a bunch of like beachside resorts with like DJs and drinks and almost like a Playa del Carmen kind of vibe.
Got it.
Like that.
Cool.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna like, we'll be like start circulating around who the fuck would. You know what? The one thing I hate is whenever like you get invited to like a bachelor party, they make like a group chat like before, like let's say at the planning stage. Get hueva. Like half the people don't even respond. It's total waste. So I think I'm just gonna like be like, hey, here's what I'm doing. Here's where I'm going. Si vas, apuntas.
Yeah.
If you don't go, you don't go. No problem. No hard feelings. But I'm gonna find the weekend that works for me.
Dude, and I'm not gonna put a list of 20 people to try to put their heads together on planning a trip. It's insane. It never works. It doesn't even work locally.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. How many times you the group of 5 people trying to be like, hey guys, let's do dinner Friday night. I'm thinking about doing here. What kind of ideas do you have? Yeah. And that shit blows up and nothing happens. Versus you talk to your girl and like, hey baby, Friday night I want to go to Lung Yai Tapas to have some Thai food, and I want to invite a couple friends with us.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great idea. Group text, hey, my girl and I Friday night, 8 o'clock, going to Lung Yai. Let me know if you're in or not. And then some people be like, well, I was thinking, wasn't asking for your thoughts. Here's where we're going. Just let me know if I'm
thanks. Thanks for that. Would you like to answer my question?
Dude, I was like not asking for thoughts, recommendations, or anything, period. My number is how many people do I ask for the reservation? Like that's all I care about. Like, are you coming or not? If you're not coming, it's cool. I'll make the reservation for 2. Like I don't care. And I think it's the same way to do it, man. Otherwise you're gonna go nuts. You're gonna go nuts trying to plan with 20 people.
Planning forever and ever and ever and just no thanks.
I mean, these are definitely some first world problems trying to plan a wedding in Miami and a bachelor trip. But it's fun, dude.
Hey man. We live in Miami. This is what's going on. You don't like it, you don't have to watch. Whatever.
Part of our wonderful experience.
Yeah, man. So I think that's going to be the approach I take. And to tie it a little bit into what we do, I every time I go on, I think about one of these trips. I almost because we do this on a daily basis where we talk about like law and how someone can fuck up, etc. But every time I go on one of these international trips, I have to remind a lot of my friends. Yeah. Let's just say in my past, many of our friends have been interesting people that make interesting choices. But, remember, you can't, just because something's allowed in the States or you can travel with something and get away with it in the States, doesn't mean you should do it and doesn't mean you should try it in other countries.
Definitely not.
And I remember, this is an extreme example, but I remember I was in Singapore and you're getting off the cruise And there's literally like a sign that says, you know, like drug trafficking is a crime punishable by life in prison or death in Singapore. So, like something wild like that. And, you know, it's, you know, every now and then you'll hear a story of an American that got caught doing something stupid in another country. Do yourself a favor, look up some of the rules. Most countries criminalize marijuana and all other assorted drugs. So keep that in mind as you make travel plans and make your own bachelor party destination ideas.
And also keep in mind that you're going to have to, as obvious as this may sound, I'm going to say it anyways, because sometimes I realize common sense is not so common, regardless of where you're from. So even if you are an American, when you go to another country, you must follow that country's laws, okay? Where you're from means absolutely nothing to them.
I love it when they're like, but I'm a U.S. citizen. Like, it's like, yeah, you're a U.S. citizen in another country. I mean, sure, the embassy or the consulate from the U.S. might help you. They might send a representative, but I'll tell you what, I represent a lot of people in the States who have a representative from their consulate. You know what that does in our justice system? Zero, nothing. You know, like, sure, they might consider it, but
it does nothing. It maybe helps a little bit, but honestly, the easiest thing is just, like you said, brushing up on the laws, know what's the worst, what's good, what's bad, and just follow them. I mean, if you don't like their laws, don't go.
I agree. I agree. And I mean, no one's telling you to memorize their criminal statute book.
No.
But for example, a simple Google search would say, hey, you know, or actually, you know what I really like doing, and I mention it every single time someone tells me they're going somewhere new or different, is if you literally go to the website, the U.S. Department of State's website, they have the travel alerts, but they'll also give you some things to worry about and think about when you're going to that country. And it never hurts. You know, no one's saying don't go on the vacation, but maybe don't take your weed pen.
Right. Exactly.
You know, because there it might be a major offense.
Major thing. Plus, you shouldn't even be taken on the airline. But
but whatever. That's no one's advising you to break the law. I'm just saying, keep in mind.
Don't take it to those places. It's something that seems so simple.
And don't bring anything back.
Yeah, that's the other thing you would do. I don't.
Yeah. If it's pink and powdered, leave it where you found it.
Don't grab it even where you are. Love how you mentioned Colombia, then you mentioned pink and powdered.
If you know, you know.
But as they say, between that and coffee, it seems like Colombia's job is keeping the rest of the world away.
I like it.
They always say.
I like it, man.
But I think we're good.
Yeah, I think it's lunchtime.
Lunchtime. Guys, thanks for watching again or not watching. We don't, we do this to have fun and share with us. But catch you guys next time.